Could do a commercial. Okay.
It's 4:30, so I'm going to open up the City of Sweet Home Library Board meeting for Thursday, November 13th, 2025.
Board Member Castaneda is absent. Board Member Corley,
Yes.
Board Member Wise,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hicks,
Yes.
Chair Journey.
Present. I hope you all have had a chance to review the library board meeting minutes from October 9th, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections? Is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes?
I move we accept the minutes from
Second.
October.
Third.
It's been moved and seconded. I will abstain because I wasn't here. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So the minutes have been approved, and we can move on to the report of the Library Services Director.
My laptop decided to die. So we're looking at getting some mobile shelving built. This kind of goes along to a question that was asked in the work session about moving furniture to any potential place. So we're looking at Public Works is offered to try and build some mobile shelving based on some specs that we've gotten from some vendors and just general sizing that there usually are. And we're also going to see how that goes. It would be a much cheaper alternative than buying some shelving. So we'll see how the build goes and try that. That would allow, at least in our current space, like when we have story time and stuff, we could move some of the shelving out of the way so we had more floor space. But also within a new building, it's kind of the way that most libraries are going because it does make everything more configurable and changeable so you can have a very flexible space.
Cool.
And if we can start getting some of those now when we do end up with a different building, then we can use them again.
So you said affordable. So do we pay Public Works for
Yeah.
making?
So right now we would, I believe, be paying for some of the labor and the material costs. And considering that these shelves on the vendor market can cost upwards of $7,000 to $10,000 for a section, which is maybe 2 of these tables together.
Well,
Any price under that is cheaper. So we're just going to try one and see what the quality and all of that looks like and go from there.
so it's also good to know that that department has FTEs or the wherewithal to be able to help us out in that regard.
Yeah.
So,
It-
teamwork.
It's a good winter project for them.
There you go.
And then hopefully also using some local lumber. Building issues. So one of the lights went out in the staff area about a month ago. And then so we looked at replacing the type of lighting that we have back there. So the fixtures themselves are staying the same, but the guts got changed and now we're using LED. So that's been actually helpful for our headaches and all of that from the their type of lighting. So it's been good to have that change. It's probably also using a lot less energy. We'll see with the next few power bills. The front window, if you haven't been in, the front porch window, we had replaced at about, it was under $1,000 to have that replaced. The one that was in there, you could literally feel like wind and coming through, and smoke would come through when people were out on the porch smoking when they shouldn't be, and sound and all of that. Now a lot of that is blocked off. It'll be good, I think, in the summer we could get a little bit of a breeze and through there if we wanted to. But right now it's a lot warmer in the back staff area, so I think that'll help with our energy use as well. Our public bathrooms are having some issue with air in the pipes. As I've told Dominic, and now he keeps bringing it up with Public Works, it sounds like there's a very angry goat living in our pipes. And the goat is also being strangled at the same time that it's angry. So it's very loud, especially in my office. But that's part of our old plumbing. So they're going to bring someone in. And of course, whenever somebody does stop in, it won't make the noise. So we're trying. Literally 5 minutes after Dominic left today, it started making the noise again.
Oh,
It
gee.
just waits. We don't know when it's going to happen. And it can last from anywhere from like a few seconds to like 30 seconds. The public computers, one of them was down for about a month. He was just in yesterday and finally got it rebuilt and replaced. So we have 6 public computers for the patrons to use for the internet. One of them's been down for about a month. It's back now. We've been seeing a couple times a week, we have all the computers in use. We're looking at still looking for potential funding to get 1 or 2 more computers. However, we just don't have that much space for really anymore. The most exciting thing that Cecily was very excited about a second ago. So one of the very first things I was asked to change when I started here over 4 years ago was to get a cordless phone for staff use. It has been way more difficult than it ever should have been. So we're finally going to switch phone companies so we can get a cordless phone. I don't know, I do not understand, but our contract was up with our current carrier, so we're switching to a new carrier for our phone system, and we will hopefully on Monday have a cordless phone finally, which will allow staff to be able to answer the phone when they're not on the desk. They can take the phone with them, or when somebody calls and asks if something's on the shelf, we can take the phone with us to go check. And then we also should be getting our fax line finally put in as well. We've had the capability was added to our copier about a year ago, but the phone company again would not come and add the line. So we should have that done within the next 2 weeks or so. We do get a lot of asks for faxing. It's picked up in the last few months, mostly because government paperwork and medical paperwork, those are the 2 places that still want stuff faxed. So right now we've been trying to send them other places in town, but there's usually a cost. So we're going to make sure it works, and then go from there.
So that was my next question, is what would be the charge, do you know?
On our side, it shouldn't cost us anything more. Because overall the phones, even adding this fax line, is going to cost less than what we were paying.
But we pay for printing.
For printing, because there is a cost with printing for the ink and the paper and all of that. Right now you can scan things to email without a cost, because there is no paper cost or any of that. So we're going to make sure the faxing actually works, and then see if we need to charge for that, depending on the amount that we actually get of people sending. And
because as a user, I can say that I have faxed, not often, but when I have, seems like costly if you have more than 1 page, which you typically do.
And we still try to point people to scanning to their email or to the other person's email.
Yeah, faxing seems almost primitive anymore.
It really does seem weird to be adding it, but with the amount of requests we've been getting,
Sure, sure. It's a good idea.
yeah. And with the amount of paperwork changes that are coming in the next few months with medical and government stuff, that I think that'll be good timing. In-person programming, Halloween story time with a cop. We had over 50 kids participate, show up at the police department. And they loved having that much more space. If you've been in the police department's training room, it's about the size of this room, maybe a little bit bigger. The kids and the parents loved having that much space to run around and then take pictures with the cop and all of that. Trick-or-treating downtown was popular again. Had probably a couple hundred kids come through, kids and adults. And then just our general programming that happens all the time. I didn't put it here, but I do want to remind everyone we do have a new community read. We're reading a Christmas story, sorry. So that will be talking about that at the beginning of December, so stop by and get your book. New building, we just talked about that at our work session. And at the next board meeting next month, I'll bring a report back of what our priorities are for staff of the 4 identified properties. We received a grant of $2,500 from the Roundhouse Foundation for STEM kits. This was a random phone call I got of the foundation asking if we wanted the money. I hadn't applied for it, but they had contacted the state library asking if there's anything they could do for libraries, and they had some unfulfilled grants from the last couple of years. And one of those was one that we had asked for, so they decided to fill it for us. So we're getting a bunch of STEM activity kits, a lot of engineering ones, but they'll all be like ones with reusable parts that we can check out. We're trying to target homeschool families, any families really, but most of them are the age range of like 3 years old to about 10 years old for various different things you can do. There's a whole fairy tale set of like solving Goldilocks's problems, which some of them are really cute. Those will be added, and probably within the next month we should have most of those out. Right now we're just looking at packaging for them to be able to circulate them a little bit better. But they're all hanging out in my office if anyone wants to stop by and check some out. And then there's like a microscope, some bug identification things. We're probably going to get a gold panning set for kids. So it'll be fun things. And then our closures that are coming up. So for the Thanksgiving holiday, we're closed for the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then the Christmas, New Year's, we're just staff worked together and came up with the schedule of we're just closed on Christmas Day and then shorter hours on Christmas Eve and the 26th and 27th. And then everybody still gets at least 2 days off for the holiday. And then after I submitted all of this, I realized I forgot a bigger thing I did this month. So we have a little free food pantry in the library entryway. We had a donation of money to purchase a small fridge and freezer that has been added to that as well. So we can have frozen and fresh food donated. This is just a bring whatever you want and take whatever you need. Even if it's just one can or one thing, that's perfectly fine for donating or for taking. We're seeing probably, I'm going to guess, around 25 to 30 different people every day taking something, and probably 20 or so people every day leaving something. So it has had pretty good use, I believe. Especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays is probably when we see the heaviest use. That's also when SHIM hands out their boxes and bags of food. And for some people, it's just exchanging stuff that they know they don't want to use for something that they do. And then someone else will want something they didn't and all of that. So I think that's, rather than we used to find stuff just left outside or around the library. So this is a good reuse way to do that. Food's still perfectly fine. It's just getting to the people that will actually eat it. Is there any questions on any of that? Okay. And then if I want to move on to statistics.
I'm wondering about the food. I've heard from a couple of businesses and some residents about homeless people around. Is the food an issue contributing to that? Is that your perception?
No.
No.
A lot of the homeless people that are hanging out in the 1 block area around the library are not allowed in the library for various reasons of their own choosing.
Sure.
There's I have not seen they've taken a few things here and there, but it's not been that big of an issue. I'm seeing the biggest use being families,
Sure.
but it doesn't seem to be attracting or detracting any particular clientele.
Good. Good.
And a lot of it is what ends up there is stuff that would need to be heated up or cooked. A lot of
Right,
canned
right.
mixed vegetables.
I noticed quite a few canned goods there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had to ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Statistics. Any questions on any of this? We're on track for almost every category to be up over last year. I think the biggest one being, what was I looking at? The door count will probably definitely be higher again this year. The program participation, we're already over previous years, even with a few fewer programs, but we'll probably end up about the same number of programs. And our ebooks and e-audios are definitely going up every year. And that one is state funded. So that's one of the last programs that the state would cut if they continue to lose federal or state funding. But right now it should still be fine for the at least next year or so.
So that's just a general trend that we see in libraries overall, is that there are more ebooks being checked out.
And for our users, we get probably 2/3 of those checkouts are e-audio books, which lends to we have a lot of people commuting. Some places we'll see a little bit more on the ebook version rather than the e-audio, but since our average commute is at least, I think, half an hour, we're seeing a lot more e-audio books.
Any more questions or comments about library statistics? Or the fiscal report? Were you going to report anything fiscally?
I don't have anything.
So let's move on to old business, library donor naming rights.
So this is the proposal I brought last time. I did want to make sure we had everybody's input. So comments, it's on you guys now. It's not just me talking. So this is basically, I want to looking forward towards a new library or bigger donations, and if people want something named after them, there's some guidelines. Most of this is just taken from other libraries. So if you want to change dollar amounts or what can or can't be named, I'm open to anything.
So that was my question. I guess I missed this all because I wasn't here last month, but clearly this template came from some other organization, ALA or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of them are the same. So,
Yeah.
but I'm open to any changes.
So I just had a question. Years ago when we started this quest for a new library, and had people from Portland, etc., come in and look at our library, we also talked about a marketing plan, which may be premature at this point. But I'm just curious if you all have thought about how this might fit into a larger approach. I know also at that time there was some talk about engaging a marketing professional because it's just a big project. So I'm just asking kind of where on the map of our future thinking about a library, where this fits in to that whole big picture.
I think it's very premature for a marketing plan since we don't have a site. Generally, the best practice is you need to have the vision built. It may be a little early for naming rights also, but quite frankly, I don't think it hurts to establish the framework now. And then obviously we would integrate the naming rights into whatever the marketing plan was to try to attract those donations.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my experience is just that of once this is in place and then you have the architectural drawings, then you can approach donors and say, hey, this is the beautiful thing we want to build. We would love to have your name on it. These are the levels that we are looking at for what we're looking for donations.
I have a nerd question.
Yes.
Could we use a different way of saying remove instead of deacquisitioned or deaccessioned? That's the word, deaccession. That sounds so nerdy and
It's a very library word.
jargony. I know it's
But yes,
library
we can.
and museums, but it's just, yeah,
It goes to my background in archives.
right. And I wondered about the morality clause, credibly alleged to have engaged in seems really vague. And I don't have a suggestion how to fix it.
I don't either.
But
That
I
one,
wondered.
that one I fully stole from
Mhm.
another library because
Sure.
the concept is there. I just don't. I need the wording
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, to me, it sounds like I heard that Bob said that Fred said that, and if Bob and Fred are credible, then I wondered about that.
So
And the other one thing was the thresholds for recognition, the amounts. I assume that was adopted wholesale from other libraries.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So the big amount for the building one, that I based on the fact that we've already had an $800,000 donation. And I figure if you want to get the building named after you, you need to donate more than that.
Sure.
And then the other ones, the meeting rooms and such, those seem to be the 10 or 20 different libraries I looked at, those seem to be about those numbers. And furniture, that just was about the cost of what a plaque or something or staff time would be.
Well, my feeling was I wondered if they were older because they seemed small, but I don't know anything about this, so just wondering.
So usually the money doesn't fully cover the entire cost, especially if you're getting a room or building or area named after you, but it is a significant portion of it.
Yeah.
But I am absolutely open if anyone has any other dollar suggestions for any of that. And it could be in 2 years that would still seem a little bit low or something. I don't.
So I could just go back and comment on the credibly alleged, because alleged is a wishy-washy word anyway, and credibly according to whom. So I'm just wondering if those are legal words that would be something that a lawyer would want to see in a document like this, and therefore that's why it's helpful. And I can't make a decision on that. I'm just asking the question. Not that you have the answer either, just posing the question.
And the workflow for this is I did the draft, obviously bring it to you guys. Then if you approve of any changes or anything, then take it to the city attorney. And then it would go to the city council for final approval before it becomes official.
Okay, well then I could leave the credibly credibly.
I will also
in
take
there.
suggestions if you know
I
different
know.
words. If
No.
if there's somebody that's a wordsmith,
I have thoughts. But it can be dealt with like on the fly. I love the policy. I love that we're doing it or thinking about it. So I would move the adoption.
So is that what you're hoping for today? Is to get?
I am open to either changes or adoption.
Are there any comments from this side of the table? So Jim, how do you want to handle your edits? Do you want to?
I think with editorial privilege understood, we could approve.
Okay, so can I hear a motion approving the library donor naming rights policy?
Ditto. What I just said.
Okay,
Yeah.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Do we need to vote individually?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
John.
Okay.
Okay, next very brief thing, hopefully. The internet access by teens, children and teens. This is part of our policy manual. Staff just asked for some slight changes here. What's crossed out is what was currently in this portion of the policy. What's highlighted is what is new. So we're getting more teens, 12 and up, like junior high age, that want to use the computer. Most of them are about 14, 15, but we're seeing that everyone at the school district has a Chromebook. They can get onto our Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi is not filtered. Our internet on the computers does have some filters. Just based on the fact that they have a Chromebook with them, or should. They don't always carry it with them, but they should have a Chromebook with them. We were just trying to get the more in line with the ages that would have the Chromebook. And then we're also, since we added the TV and game console in the last few years, I just wanted to put that into the policy as well of who could use that. Right now, we just have rules posted on the wall, but I just wanted something a little bit more official.
And so the language under use of TV game and console is also.
That's all new, and that just basically is the same as the internet use.
Right, but it's also common language for this particular kind of operation.
And then we would have, when we give a teen a library card,
Right.
they would be opted into having internet access as well. It's a separate little thing we have to do. If a parent wants to opt them out, the parent can do that.
So would we give the parent a copy of this policy when they get their card, or?
Yeah, it's part of some of the handouts we give
Okay.
everybody
Okay,
of every age.
great.
The prefrontal cortex in the human brain is not fully developed till age 25. And one of the main functions of that portion of the brain is decision making. So I wonder about lowering the age of things that the kids would decide to opt in on without parental approval. I can see where you're saying, well, it's pretty much out of our control. We can say, but I don't like changing it. So for what it's worth.
Open to any comments and input.
Well, my thoughts just go to the inappropriateness that some kids are going to try to they're going to try to get on inappropriate websites. Do we have anything in place for that? I mean, what do we allow?
We haven't had an issue with that at
Okay.
the library. 4 of the 6 computers are very clearly within staff view.
Right, but their own
And-
Chromebooks, do they still go through the school district's
They
filters at
do.
that point? Okay.
And then we do have some follow some SEPA guidelines for our computers.
Okay.
Our Wi-Fi, however, is not filtered at all if they're on their phone. There's just not a way for us to do that.
Right.
But however, our bandwidth is so small that you can't do a lot with the Wi-Fi. Like streaming Disney is really hard.
Mhm.
Um, so there are some checks and balances, and obviously the parents can absolutely opt their kid out of having access. But honestly, what they want to do is play Roblox, which they can't do on their Chromebook. And most of the kids that do play already have parental permission to do so.
Mhm.
So
So would it make life hard for you if we didn't approve of this? No?
No.
Yeah. And would it make it easier if we did?
a little bit,
Yeah.
but it would also be then every time we do a new card, then we have an extra step that we just automatically do. So it kind of washes out both ways. And you can approve part or all of it. If you say, okay, for the gaming console, that's fine. If you say, I don't want that for the internet, that's fine. Or the opposite of that.
So given that the staff recommended changing some of the language, they're pretty invested in this new language. They really want this.
They would like it, but they're okay if it doesn't change.
Mm. Mm.
They just asked.
Well, but they asked because it was important enough to ask.
They have a 12-year-old that his mother hasn't shown up yet to let him get on the computer and play Roblox. And he's very persistent about asking. And we're very persistent of, no, you're 12, you need to have an adult opt you in. And mom just can't be bothered to show up or to give us a call to say, yes, the kid can get on the computer.
And that's not our problem,
No,
right?
but that's what kind of prompted this,
No,
along with the everyone has a Chromebook already. So
And I'm okay with the ages on this, and as long as they have parent permission to be on the computer, that's on the parent then, so. I'm good with it.
You're okay with the new language?
Yeah.
So do we want to make a motion, pro or con?
I'll move that we adopt the new policy for the internet access for kids, children, and teens.
Is there a
I
second?
would second that movement.
Okay, and we can vote en masse, or do we have to vote individually? So all those in favor of the revisions to the policy manual internet use, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay, so we have 3 pros and 1 con. So the draft will be approved. Statistical report.
So this is the boring part of the meeting. So part of your duties as the advisory board is to approve the statistics that I turn into the state library. However, it is impossible to do that before I actually have to turn them in. So this is because I don't get all of the statistics until about the last 10 days of October, and they're due the last day of October. So yeah, that's just how the statistics are run right now. So this is the next meeting after, and these are the statistics that I turned in. I don't think you would be changing anything anyway, because it's just math. So this is just what we have, the questions the state asks, and then what our funding is, what our staffing is, where we spend the money, what we would need, and just a lot of those questions. In January, February, these stats will be out for the entire state and all of the libraries, and we can compare ourselves to the other libraries of our size or of our funding or of our staffing levels. This also is one of the functions of the state library that is funded by LSTA grants through the federal government and through some of the state funding. So if some of that funding goes away, this could also be pared down or taken away, even though it is a mandated thing that libraries do in the state. So I'm not sure how they're going to resolve that. But right now there's funding. So I just want you guys to be aware of where some of the funding for some of these things are coming from.
So that was my question, which you answered, which is I would like to just see how we compare across the board and get some other data points, but that's coming. So
Yeah. And you can look at the last 10 years now if you'd like to on the state site. I will say that we have good usage. We are underfunded for what some other libraries at around 10,000 people in the state have. There are some libraries that have over $1 million budget for their at just under 10,000 population and a lot more staffing because that's the biggest expense is always staffing. But there are other ones that are, far less is happening at the library, and so there is even less staffing at around similar population. One thing that is different, the budget that I report to the state is our operational budget and does not include our capital line. So that is a larger number that's in our budget you'll see from the city, but it's not included in this budget because we're not spending that every year.
Did we report the population of the service area, just the city limits?
Yeah, it's just considered the city limits for all
Right.
of the
Right.
all of the
We
different
have
libraries.
a lot of non-residents using the library, so we don't count around. I
No,
guess,
the final number of there's one line in here of how many active library users we have, which is the number of active cards. Our cards are good for 1 year. So it's a really up-to-date number, but it doesn't break down between who uses an out-of-district card or comes here and uses their Albany card or is a city resident.
idle curiosity.
Yeah.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the 2025 Oregon Public Library State Statistical Report that Megan needs to have from us.
So moved.
It's been moved and
Second.
seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Yes.
All opposed? No, it's approved.
And one last thing to mention is we're having a birthday party for the library building on next Friday. We're going to have cake. I just kind of am doing this to point out how old the building is. And also I want a cake. So the building is the Sunday right before Thanksgiving, the building is officially turning 56 years old. So the Friday before that, we'll have some birthday cake.
Whoa.
It's chocolate. But apparently I did bad. I ordered chocolate cake with a buttercream frosting. And apparently I needed to order chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. I made the wrong choice.
It'll still get eaten.
Exactly.
If they're leftovers, I don't know.
I think we can struggle through.
Yeah. And that'll just be, the cake will just be available all day if you want to stop by and have a piece of cake.
Well, thank you. Are there anything else that needs to be brought up for business today? Then I will adjourn the meeting at 5:08. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here for so long.